You know how some things just feel fundamental, like they've always been part of the landscape. Growing up, for me, Mysore sandal soap was sort of like that, just always there.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, this simple bar of soap, honestly, it's sparked a controversy down in Karnataka. Well, it's more dramatic than you'd expect. A real soap opera, you could say.
It's quite something, isn't it? You've got this product deeply, deeply tied to the culture, the identity of Karnataka.
Totally.
And then one decision, a marketing decision, sets off this huge reaction. We're talking about the government appointing Bollywood actress Tamannaah Bhatia as the brand ambassador.
Exactly. And for anyone listening who maybe hasn't come across it, this isn't just some random soap. It's history. Goes back to 1916.
Yeah, the Maharaja of Mysore.
Right. A royal creation. It's like, I don't know, imagine if your state anthem had its own signature fragrance that everyone just knew.
Yeah.
That golden bar, it's basically synonymous with Karnataka.
It really is. It captures that whole sandalwood heritage, you know. Very nostalgic for a lot of people. And the company, KSDL Karnataka Soaps and Detergents Limited, it's a big deal economically.
Huge.
Their turnover, what was it? Nearly 1,800 crore recently, and a huge chunk of that, like 1,430 crore, comes from the southern states. So very strong regionally.
Definitely dominant in their home turf. But, and here's the twist, right? Despite that success, nationally, their market share is, well, pretty small, maybe 6 or 7%.
That's the key point.
So the government, they've set this massive goal, get turnover up to 5,000 crore by 2028. That's a huge jump.
A really ambitious target.
And their big idea to get there, bring in a face, a brand ambassador with real pan-India recognition, someone known outside the South.
Which leads us straight to the announcement, May 22nd. Tamannaah Bhatia, big name, works across Telugu, Tamil, Hindi films.
Right.
And it's a significant deal. 6.2 crore rupees over 2 years. That includes, I think, 2 days of promotional work. It's a serious investment aimed squarely at boosting that national profile.
No kidding. 6.2 crore is a lot. Yeah. And Tamannaah, I mean, she does bring star power. Mumbai born, big in the South, big in the Hindi films too. And her social media numbers are just, wow.
Huge reach. What is it, 28 million on Instagram, nearly 6 million on X?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
From a purely marketing numbers perspective, you can see the logic.
And that's what KSDL's MD, Prashant PKM, basically said. He called her the best match for this national push, pointed to her youth appeal, her digital presence. And it wasn't just one person's decision, apparently. There was a committee. Even Regina Kanth was involved somehow.
Really? Regina Kanth?
Yeah, evaluating options. They looked at others too, Deepika Padukone, Rashmika Mandanna, Pooja Hegde, Kiara Advani. So on paper, it looks like they did their homework.
Okay, so business case. Target growth, find a face with broad appeal. Makes sense, sort of. But the reaction in Karnataka, it was like a cultural tripwire got hit.
Yeah.
The feeling was just overwhelming. A Bollywood actress, even one known in the South, just doesn't fit this brand. A brand so deeply Kannadiga. It felt off. Like, I don't know, casting a Hollywood star in a Yakshagana play or something.
That's a good analogy, actually. It captures that feeling of disconnect. And the backlash wasn't subtle, it was immediate. Social media just lit up.
Oh, yeah.
People asking, why not our own? Why not Kannada actresses? You saw names like Ashika Ranganath, Rukmini Vasanth, Pranitha Subhash popping up everywhere.
And some pretty sarcastic comments, too, right? Like asking about Deepika Padukone's qualifications, even though she has Kannada roots. The core feeling was, couldn't we find someone local?
Exactly. And it spilled offline, too.
Yeah.
The very next day, May 23rd, activists from Yuva Karnataka Vidayak were protesting outside the KSDL factory in Yeshwanthpur.
Right here in Bangalore. You can feel the frustration. People felt ignored.
And then you had major Kannada organizations weighing in. Karnataka Rakshana Vidayak, KRV, their president T. Narayana Gowda, he didn't mince words, called it irrational, irrelevant, irresponsible.
Strong language.
Very. And threatened a statewide protest. He was basically saying, how could you not find a Kannadiga to represent the symbol of our culture? It was about identity, not just sales figures.
Even the Mysuru MP, he had the Veerwadhir, who's literally descended from the Maharaja who started it all, he called the decision deeply irresponsible and insensitive. Said the soap is part of their cultural identity. That hits hard. Coming from him.
Absolutely. And that 6.2 crore figure became a real focal point.
Yeah.
Why spend that on an outsider, people asked, when you have fantastic talent right here? Rashmika Mandanna, Shanidhi Shetty, Rukmini Vasanth.
Yeah, why not boost local stars and the local brand? It felt like a missed chance.
And people kept bringing up the soap's success without a big celebrity face? It makes good money already, right? Around 400 crore profit last year, just based on its name and quality.
Exactly. They compared it to Nantini Milk, another Karnataka favorite. Sells great. No big movie star needed. So the question was, if it ain't broke, why the Bollywood fix?
Well, facing all this heat, the government had to respond. M.B. Patil, the Commerce and Industries Minister, came out defending it. He stressed it was a well-researched move, driven by business strategy, he said. Not meant as any disrespect to Canada Pride, he was quite careful about acknowledging the Canada film industry's success, too.
His main point seemed to be about breaking out, getting Mysore sandal soap known all over India. He kept pointing to Tamannaah's pan-India fame, her digital clout connecting with young people.
Oh.
Those were the key factors.
Right. Availability, social media presence, brand fit, market reach. Those were the criteria he mentioned.
And he did address the local stars question, saying they had approached people like Deepika and Rashmika.
Yeah, but apparently there are issues. Deepika has her own brand. Others had existing contracts or scheduling problems. That was the explanation given.
Okay.
And he talked up the big vision national, maybe even global reach eventually. He even joked about maybe getting a Hollywood star someday. Shows how big they're thinking.
It's definitely ambitious. And they do have some momentum, right?
Yeah.
KSDL's turnover grew 40% in the last 2 years. So they feel they have a base to launch from.
Exactly. The argument is, look, to really crack the national market, especially up north where sandalwood soap isn't maybe as common, you need a face people recognize instantly. Patil used this phrase, sowing excellence, like this is an investment for future dominance.
Okay, but let's look at the arguments for Tamannaah. She's not exactly unknown in the South, is she? Big hits in Telugu and Tamil.
That's true. She's very familiar to audiences in neighboring states. It's not like bringing in someone totally alien to the region.
And that social media reach.
Yeah.
You can't ignore it. Compare her numbers to even popular Canada actresses. The difference is, well, huge. In digital marketing today, that matters a lot, especially for reaching younger people nationally.
It does. And the counter-argument goes, how do you break into, say, North India if your brand ambassador isn't really known there? One person on X made the point that even famous Canada stars might not have that same recognition outside the state.
It's a fair point. And there's that history with MS Dhoni back in 2006, right?
Yeah.
That endorsement didn't quite work out because of his availability.
Yeah, a bit of a cautionary tale. Maybe they see Tamannaah with her experience doing beauty endorsements as a more reliable bet. Plus, the reasonable engagement terms suggest maybe it wasn't as expensive as some other top national stars might have been.
So it all boils down to this tension, doesn't it? This clash between deep regional pride, this cultural connection, and the sheer ambition to go big, go national, maybe even global.
Absolutely. Mysore sandal soup, like you said, it's not just soap. People feel ownership. It's like the Vidhana Suda or, classic Canada food. It's theirs. So seeing it represented by someone perceived as an outsider, it feels like a watering down of that identity.
And you have people like director Kavita Lankesh making really sharp points, questioning if they're just chasing some outdated Milky Beauty stereotype, and arguing that a local face would bring so much more authenticity, a real connection. It makes you think about the image they want, doesn't it? Broad appeal versus deep roots.
But then you look at the national market. It's brutal. Brands like Dove, Lux, they spend fortunes on celebrity endorsements to get noticed everywhere.
True.
So for KSDL to compete seriously, especially in places where sandalwood soap isn't a household thing, maybe just relying on that Karnataka loyalty isn't enough for that 5,000 crore dream.
And we keep coming back to the money. That 6.2 crore. Critics like Lankish saying, couldn't that money do more good elsewhere, supporting Canada cinema directly or public welfare? It's that classic trade-off, branding versus other priorities.
So where are we now? Well, the protests seem quieter, but maybe not gone entirely. Tamannaah herself hasn't said anything publicly about the controversy.
Interesting.
And KSDL, they seem to be sticking to their guns. They even put up a welcome post for her on social media recently, so it looks like they're pushing ahead, despite the noise.
So the big question hanging in the air is, can they pull this off? Can Mysore sandal soap go national, hit those huge targets without losing its soul, without alienating the very people who've loved it for over a century? It feels like a real balancing act.
It's a tricky spot for the government, definitely. Trying to boost the economy, get national recognition, but also respect that incredibly strong regional feeling, that cultural pride. There are no easy answers here.
Yeah. So you're left wondering, will Tamannaah's star power win out and actually boost sales nationally? Or will that deep Canada pride end up being the stronger force? This real-life soap opera is definitely not over yet. The next chapter will be telling for this iconic brand.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? About heritage brands everywhere trying to grow in today's world. How do you stay true to your roots while reaching for something bigger? It's a challenge that goes way beyond just this one very fragrant bar of soup.